Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning into my YouTube channel. This is Nikhil Parekh. In this video, I shall be giving you a recitation of my poem that is with title Man Comes Without Anything, Lives Without Anything, Dies Without Anything. This poem of mine has been published in my book that is with title Love versus Terrorism, Volume 2. Therefore, without wasting a further instant, wanted to ardently commence upon with the recitation of my poem Man comes without anything, lives without anything, dies without anything. Bizarre loneliness when I was writing. After all, who would sit beside an eccentrically fanatic brain? Try and decipher the infinite wild fantasies that engulfed each ounce of his soul till times beyond eternity. Bizarre loneliness when I was writing. After all, who would sit beside an eccentrically fanatic brain, try and decipher the wild fantasies that engulfed each ounce of his soul till times beyond eternity? Wretched loneliness when I was eating. Wretched loneliness when I was eating. After all, who would relish the prospect of waiting till forgetfully odd hours of the day and night to see me devour gigantic chunks of food at a time with my unkempt bohemian hands? Crippling loneliness when I was driving. After all, who had the zeal to wade through a boundless kilometers on the trot on plain roads, transported to another world of divine sublimity, transported to another world of divine sublimity with the congruent and incongruent beats of full volume music. Insane loneliness when I was on bed. After all, who would want to stay wide awake like the ghoulish owl all night and then snore like a dead man as the sun unrelentingly blazed and burnt all day? As the sun unrelentingly blazed and burnt all day? Vindictive loneliness when I was in a formal party. After all, who would want to stand with an emotional fool who spoke like a newborn baby with his heart shrugging deep into his shell amidst the tiniest manipulative subtleties of the tongue? Shrugging deep into his shell amidst the tiniest manipulative subtleties of the tongue. Forlorn loneliness when I was walking. After all, who would want to amble with a person? After all, who would want to amble with a person? After all, who would want to amble with a person? Person who kept unabashedly gazing at the sky, divulging the innermost secrets with it, rather than trust the frivolously prejudiced human race. Abject loneliness when I was angry. After all, who would want to be beside an individual who was insanely ready to quit his life that very moment? Who was, after all, who would want to be beside an individual? Who would want to be beside an individual who was insanely ready to quit his life that very moment for protecting even the tiniest leaf of the tree, which the society outside massacred on various religious pretexts? Egregious loneliness when I was victorious. After all, who would want to be a part of one's? After all, who would want to be a part of one's ecstatically unabashed celebrations, which saw one cuddle just like an inconsolably crying newborn child into the lap stretched from the idol of the Creator Divine, into the lap stretched from the idol of the creator divine, of the creator divine, the creator divine. Disastrous loneliness when I was fathered, the disastrous loneliness when I faltered and floundered, After all, who would want to be a part of a reclusively dogmatic losing camp? In this world where each second, unfurling was defined as quick money, despairing loneliness when I was bonded into matrimony. Despairing loneliness when I was bonded into matrimony. After all, who would accept an esoteric recluse lost in an entrenchment of enigma 24 into 7, 24 into 7, when there were so many societal formalities to be relished and fulfilled? 24/7, 24 into 7, 24 into 7, when there were 24 into 7, when there were so many societal formalities to be relished and fulfilled. Sadistic loneliness when I ventured to earn. After all, who would pat the back of an employee who made the entire organization bankrupt in a single instant? Donating every bit of wealth towards philanthropy and all ailing living kind. Inexplicable loneliness when I chatted with my kin. Inexplicable loneliness when I chatted with my kin. After all, who would want their sibling to be writing poetry sitting at home all the time when the society outside was minting millions, with every stroke of technology, Brutal loneliness when I visited the doctor. Brutal loneliness when I visited the doctor. After all, who would associate with an epitome of fanatic sensitivity, wherein the world stood wholesomely ready to be clinically cured and executed? Wherein the world stood wholesomely ready, wherein the world stood wholesomely ready. World stood wholesomely ready to be clinically cured and executed. Jinxed loneliness when I tried to save Mother Nature. After all, who would want to make me a friend and thus relinquish cutting those freshly born branches of the tree, which were in fact an ungainly nuisance to their otherwise crystal clear vision? Debilitating loneliness when I visited the temple, mosque, church, or monastery. After all, who would like to befriend someone? After all, who would like to befriend someone who trespassed beyond his own religion? Visualizing only a singleton form of the Lord, visualizing only a singleton form of the Lord, in each holy place of bountiful worship, in each holy place of bountiful worship. Insidious loneliness when I converted into humanity. Insidious loneliness when I converted into humanity. After all, who would like to chat with someone who had chosen a religion which simply wasn't defined in the pages of what their ancestors? After all, who would like to chat with someone? Who had chosen a religion which simply wasn't defined in the pages of what their ancestors and society had to say? Satanic loneliness when I adopted a child. Satanic loneliness when I adopted a child. After all, who would want to mingle their potently masculine or feminine shadows with a man whom they thought had adopted, only for he was too weak to procreate his very own blood? His very own blood. Diabolical loneliness when I died. Diabolical loneliness when I died. After all, who would want to associate even in the most remotest possible way with the lifeless? In their so-called triumphant terminologies and successful management mantras of life, successful management mantras of life and their successful management mantras of life. And though all my life I refused to believe this, but how true was it when God said that man comes on earth without anything, continues to symbiotically exist without anything, and eventually goes under the soil again without anything? And though all my life I refused to believe this, but how true was it? And though all my life I refused to believe this, but how true was it when God said, when God said that man comes on this earth without anything, continues to symbiotically exist without anything, and eventually goes under the soil again without anything. After all, who are we to challenge his omnipotent principles of existence? After all, who are we to challenge his omnipotent, omnipotent principles of existence? Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for hearing me. From the innermost layer of the heart, wanted to thank you for the victoriously euphoric patronization to the poetry